Yeah, the Federal Appeals Court striking down a rule he had put into place, one of many that targets the private funds industry, that would require hedge funds, private equity firms to essentially detail their fees to investors. It is a blow to Gary Gensler, and it begs the question what the fate is of all of these other rules he has tried to impose on this industry.
Yeah, that's true. We're joined for more on this by Elliott, Stein, Bloomberg Intelligence Senior Litigation Analyst for Financials. Let's go to the source in New York. Elliott, did you see this coming? Why the ruling?
Hey, Joe. Hey, Kaylee. How you guys doing? I did anticipate this. I think probably a lot of people watching the courts these days anticipated it. We're essentially in this perfect storm where you have the Biden administration and its regulators taking a pretty aggressive approach to regulation. And then you have federal courts that are skeptical of administrative overreach, and so you have this perfect storm where these two are meeting, and the courts are looking at what the administration is doing and thinking that they've exceeded their statutory authority, which is what happened in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So does this effectively kill the rule, or does the SEC have further recourse for appeal here?
Well, in theory, the SEC does have further recourse. This decision was by a 3-judge panel of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals down in New Orleans. The SEC now has 45 days to ask the full Fifth Circuit to review the decision, and the SEC could ask the Supreme Court to review it as well, or they can go to the Supreme Court after they ask for en banc review, which is the full Fifth Circuit. But I don't think the SEC is going to get any traction on either of those paths, because the full Fifth Circuit and the Supreme Court are essentially aligned ideologically with the 3 judges on this panel that issued this ruling today.
Yeah, to Kaylee's point, we're talking about the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans. Kaylee, thank you. The reaction from Gensler, the staff will take a look. I guess that's all you need to hear.
Yeah, I mean, right. They always say that, but right. Again, I don't think there's much they can do. There's not much they can do in the courts with this.
Okay, so what about all of the other rules targeting the private funds industry, Elliott? Does this spell potential trouble for them too?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just rules, targeting private funds, right? I mean, we're seeing this across many sectors. In fact, Bloomberg Intelligence just put out a deep dive report on sort of the demise of judicial deference to regulatory agencies, and we've seen it with the major questions doctrine. This affects, various SEC rules, as you suggested, including the dealer rule, its climate disclosure rule. I think, it also touches on things like the CFPB credit card late fee rule, which is being litigated currently. My colleagues in other sectors have written about how this could affect the FCC's rules on broadband regulation, the FTC's rules on non-competes, banning non-competes, the EPA's rules on PFAS. So this really is indicative of a cross-sector issue that we're seeing where the courts are really skeptical of what the Biden administration regulators are doing.
Well, and one of those areas as well that's gotten a lot of attention was the climate disclosure rules, Elliott, that the SEC has actually taken it upon itself to stop enforcing, given the just scale of the legal challenges that they were facing. My understanding, though, is a lot of the climate-focused lawsuits that didn't think the rule has gone far enough are now not happening anymore. Those have been dropped. Where exactly do the legal challenges around that in particular stand?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kaylee. Just this week, or maybe late last week, we saw the Sierra Club and the NRDC, the Natural Resources Defense Council, drop their lawsuits. And you're exactly right. They had filed lawsuits, wanting the SEC to go farther than it did, but they have now withdrawn those lawsuits. And they're going to focus on, fighting to preserve what the SEC did do, which again is now also being challenged by, several Republican, red-leaning states that have Republican attorneys general, and then also some, industry groups.
All right, Elliott Stein of Bloomberg Intelligence, thank you so much, as always.